It's already happening, even if you didn't quite feel the moment it began. The shift is underway, quietly but powerfully. You're in the midst of a great unraveling, a cosmic migration that's pulling you away from the life you once identified with. And now, it's too late to stop it. Something deep and transformative has already been set in motion. It wasn't loud. It didn't come with fanfare or some dramatic celestial trumpet blast. But it moved something fundamental inside of you. Maybe you call it the ignition point. Maybe you call it Jupiter Cazimi. Maybe it's just a feeling you can't explain. Call it whatever you need to. But understand this. The departure has already begun. You're no longer rooted in the reality that once felt like home. Without realizing it, you've started drifting away from people, roles, beliefs, and environments that once made up your entire identity. And yes, the energy of the new moon is playing a far bigger role in this transformation than most people are prepared to admit. This is not just another moon phase. This is an initiation disguised as a lunar cycle, and there's a very specific reason why this moon won't wait for your readiness, for your consent, or for your comfort. We'll get into that soon, because it matters more than you realize. But before we go there, there's something you need to hear, something that was never meant to reach your consciousness until now. This message isn't for the version of you who is still trying to hold on. It's for the version of you that's already halfway through the portal. The one who has been moving even if you haven't caught up to that movement yet. The reason this moment found you now, the reason these words are in front of your eyes, is because something in your life has reached its expiration point. And tomorrow's Jupiter Cazimi isn't just a symbolic alignment, it's a catalyst. A breaker of loops, a detonation that leaves no room for return. But here's the part almost no one is willing to say aloud. There is something or someone in your world that simply cannot make this crossing with you. You already know what it is. You've sensed it for a while. Maybe you haven't fully named it. Maybe you've been bargaining with it. But the truth has been quietly whispering to you, showing up in ways that can no longer be dismissed as coincidence. You've seen the signs. You've felt the friction. And if something in your life now feels hollow, off, outdated, or like it just doesn't fit anymore, it's because it doesn't. Not on the level you now operate on. You're not losing your grip on who you are. The outdated version of yourself is simply slipping away. You're not breaking character. The character is breaking off of you. That old identity, the one that knew how to mask discomfort, to people please, to perform enthusiasm, to camouflage misalignment, that persona is no longer sustainable. You didn't choose to rebel against it. This isn't about some brave decision to finally live your truth. This is far more automatic than that. This isn't a rebellion. It's a reset. Something in your nervous system has overridden the programming. You've lost the ability to pretend, to simulate interest, to nod along for the sake of harmony. It's not burnout. It's not emotional fatigue. It's more like your internal system has wiped itself clean of what no longer resonates. You didn't ease into this new self. You were thrust into it. Jupiter Cazimi didn't slowly guide you into a better version of yourself. It dissolved the scaffolding of your previous self entirely. Now, when you try to say the things you used to say, they don't sound right. When you try to play the roles you've played for years, they feel artificial, like theater. And when you attempt to summon care for something you've outgrown, your body gives you an immediate, visceral rejection. That's not you being dramatic. That's a loss of compatibility. Your nervous system no longer aligns with those frequencies. There's no resonance, no signal. You're not glitching. You're evolving. The new moon approaching in 2 days doesn't arrive to hold your hand. It doesn't come bearing gentle upgrades or soft encouragement. It's here to completely rewrite your operating system. No room for duality. No room for half measures. If it doesn't belong in the reality you're now stepping into, it simply cannot come with you. That includes ideas, behaviors, beliefs, people, obligations, and even parts of your personality that were molded to survive in a version of the world you're now leaving behind. If you've been feeling awkward in social settings, disconnected emotionally, foggy mentally, understand that it's not malfunction, it's mismatch. You are no longer legible to the old world. You don't speak the language of distortion anymore. Your presence isn't translating in environments that once embraced you, because your energy now speaks a dialect that's foreign to that frequency. And that's where it gets even more intense. Because when the world around you begins to sense that you've changed, it begins to close doors that were once open. You're not being punished. You're being redirected. The Cazimi doesn't lock you out of opportunity. It locks you away from delay. It removes the people, plans, and patterns that would slow down your transformation. Things that once flowed easily now begin to collapse. Plans fall apart. Schedules shift. Doors that you once thought were meant for you begin to shut gently, sometimes forcefully. But all of it is aligned. This collapse is a form of protection. It's not destruction, it's divine intervention. What you're experiencing now is the universe enforcing the boundary you were too afraid or unsure to place yourself. It's the cosmos moving the pieces for you because your soul has already outpaced your conscious mind. You may still be negotiating with your old life, but your soul has already chosen a new one. Before we move ahead in the video, I want to let you know that if you've gained even a little value from my efforts, please consider donating through Super Thanks or via PayPal. It really helps motivate and inspire us to keep going. And here's the deeper truth. You don't need to feel ready to go. You don't need to understand every detail. The shift has already begun. The decision has already been made on a level far beyond logic. The discomfort you feel is just your body catching up to what your spirit already knows. The confusion is natural. So is the grief. You are not just leaving a phase of life. You're leaving the frequency that supported it. So if something in your world feels outdated, misaligned, or strangely out of place, allow yourself to witness it. You don't need to fix it, fix yourself, or push harder to make it make sense. You're not meant to decode the moment. You're meant to move through it. If you feel the shift already happening, acknowledge it. Let it wash over you. Let it mark the end of what no longer belongs and the beginning of what is still becoming. This moment isn't small. It's cosmic. It's encoded with the momentum of your next evolution. And no, the moon will not wait for you to feel completely ready. It never has. It comes when it comes, and its timing is precise, no matter how chaotic it may appear. The version of you that's emerging is not built from effort. It's rising from memory. Ancient memory. Soul memory. The you that you were always meant to be is no longer a concept or a possibility. It's a current pulling you forward. Everything has started to feel different, hasn't it? One moment you're moving through your life like everything is normal, and then, almost without warning, conversations turn distant. People you thought were constant suddenly disappear. Financial flows start to dry up, and doors you were once sure would open are now inexplicably sealed. It might feel like sabotage, like something is actively working against you. But what's really happening isn't destructive, it's precise. It's not a punishment. It's a spiritual intervention executed with cosmic accuracy. This energy isn't chaotic. It's exact. What looks like rejection is actually redirection. When Jupiter aligns with the heart of the Sun, a rare and potent configuration known as a Cazimi, a powerful wave of energy is released. And this wave doesn't operate like gentle signs or soft whispers. It doesn't suggest. It intervenes. It doesn't ask for permission. It initiates transformation. Right now, many of the changes happening in your life might look like things are falling apart. That job you were counting on suddenly disappears. The opportunity that looked so perfect last week now feels cursed. People you trusted begin pulling away. You feel locked out of the exits you once relied on, unable to retreat back into what used to feel safe. But this isn't confusion. This isn't betrayal. This is precision. This is the field responding to your evolution. These aren't random losses. They're calculated removals. A job not calling you back isn't just a disappointment. It's divine time protection. A connection fading into silence isn't abandonment. It's redirection. That opportunity vanishing at the last moment isn't a mistake. It's an energetic safeguard. These sudden collapses are not meant to punish you. They're meant to stop you from circling back into patterns that no longer serve who you are becoming. You were never meant to take the same path out. That familiar escape route you're trying to return to? It would have led you straight back into the same frequencies, the same roles, the same limiting self-image. And the energy of this moment knows that. The Jupiter Cazimi doesn't see your life the way your mind does. It sees your timeline stretched out, your trajectory shining beyond what your human thoughts can comprehend. It sees what's possible, not just what's comfortable. So yes, doors are closing, paths are glitching, people are turning away with no explanation. But that doesn't mean something is going wrong. It means something is going very, very right. What you're experiencing now is a type of cosmic boundary, one that keeps you from stepping into the wrong timeline. And the more you try to push open doors that have already been shut for your protection, the more resistance you'll feel. The louder the spiritual no becomes. Because this isn't just about what's being taken away. It's about what's being lined up for you in perfect divine timing. This kind of transformation doesn't wait for your conscious readiness. It doesn't hold back out of politeness. It happens because your soul is ready, even if your ego still clings to what's familiar. And here's where it gets even more surreal. This shift isn't only happening in the visible hours of the day. It's unfolding in the quietest part of the night, in the liminal space between Jupiter's Cazimi and the upcoming new moon. There is a strange magic within this window, something deliberate, coordinated, and deeply intelligent. If you've found yourself waking up in the middle of the night lately, unable to explain why, this is for you. That eerie moment when everything is still, the world feels off sync, and the silence seems almost alive. That's not just restlessness. It's not your mind racing. It's a summons, a call from a deeper dimension of your being. Maybe your eyes snap open and you glance at the clock. 4:44. Or perhaps it's 3:33 or 1:11, and it doesn't just happen once. It becomes a pattern, a strange rhythm of coded interruptions. These aren't coincidences. These are cosmic coordinates, left like breadcrumbs in your energy field, guiding you toward a deeper awakening. These repeating numbers aren't just spiritual signs. They're energetic markers that signify alignment. 4:44, especially, carries the frequency of divine orchestration, foundation building, and energetic recalibration. It doesn't whisper softly. It announces. It declares transformation is underway. And if that's the moment you're being jolted awake, know that you're not simply waking up. You're being tuned in. You're not being pulled from your dreams to think harder. You're being activated to feel deeper, to sense what's really happening beneath the surface. Your higher self is syncing up with a new reality grid, one that can only be accessed in those quiet hours when the veil between dimensions thins and the logical mind steps aside so your spiritual receptors can finally hear. These moments of nighttime awakening are not meant to be brushed off or dismissed. They're invitations, doorways, live transmissions meant for the soul. They mark the moments when you're being recoded in real time, when your old programming begins to dissolve and something far more aligned starts taking root. And what's even more awe-inspiring is that you're not alone in this. Across different countries, time zones, and lives, others are waking at the exact same moment. There's a shared rhythm pulsing through the collective field, orchestrated not by geography, but by readiness. Because this energy doesn't operate on a human clock, it moves according to soul contracts. And when you're ready, you stop sleeping through your own transformation. This is a spiritual summons wrapped in divine timing. It's not about being disturbed during the night. It's about being called into your next timeline. And these nightly activations are reminders that something bigger is unfolding. Something intelligent, aligned, and deeply purposeful. You're not being left behind. You're being pulled forward. So if life feels like it's rearranging itself without your consent, if your heart aches from the sudden silences, and if the clock seems to whisper secret messages in the dark, take heart. You're not losing anything essential. You're shedding the illusions that once held you in place. What's crumbling was never built to hold your becoming. What's vanishing was only ever meant to walk with you for a season. What's shifting now is your alignment with a timeline far more authentic, far more powerful than anything your past could have imagined. Let yourself trust the mysterious choreography of this moment. Let the silence between 3 a.m. and sunrise speak to you. Let the rejections become revelations. Let the cosmic refusals become road signs. You're not being punished. You're being precision guided by forces that know who you truly are and what you came here to do. Your body already knows. Before your conscious mind even registers what's happening, your inner intelligence, the wisdom of your soul, recognizes the signal. It's subtle, but unmistakable. You wake up not just because it's morning, not because of noise or restlessness, but because something deeper is calling you into presence. Something is reaching for you from beyond the veil, nudging you into awareness because you're meant to receive something important. And if you've been waking up like this lately, suddenly, repeatedly, often at strange hours, you're not imagining it. You're not overreacting. You're certainly not alone. In fact, you're right on time. You are part of a carefully timed, energetically orchestrated wave that's sweeping through right now. It's not a coincidence. It's not just sensitivity. It's a coordinated awakening, unfolding one soul at a time, in perfect rhythm with a much larger divine sequence. Not all of what you feel needs a response. Not every echo from your past is asking to be chased. Have you noticed it? The strange thoughts showing up out of nowhere? The unexpected emotions that don't seem to belong to the life you're living now? Maybe it's a long-forgotten craving, a sudden emotional tug to reconnect with someone who's long been out of your life. Maybe it's the haunting echo of a version of you that no longer exists, surfacing without warning. These moments don't make sense on the surface. You've moved on. You've grown. You've changed. You're aligned with something far more expansive now. And yet, those fragments of your former self return like ghosts from an old story trying to rewrite the ending. But here's the truth. This isn't regression. You're not sliding backwards. You're not slipping into old patterns. What you're hearing in those quiet whispers is not failure. It's farewell. It's the last monologue of an identity that knows its time is up. The version of you that learned to survive by shrinking, by playing small, by staying safe in the familiar, is giving its final speech before it exits. That voice that questions your worth, that pulls you towards stories that don't serve you, that stirs up old doubts and fantasies with no future. What you're hearing is an echo, a memory loop. And like any energy preparing to leave, it's just asking to be seen before it goes. It wants recognition, not re-engagement. It's looking for closure, not revival. You don't have to respond to the dying wishes of an outdated self. You are not obligated to revisit what you've outgrown. Let those thoughts rise and fall without reacting. Let them drift away like smoke. There is a kind of energetic static in the atmosphere right now, a moment where many are tuning into versions of themselves that only exist in the rearview mirror. But that doesn't mean you're meant to turn back. You're not meant to become them again. You're being asked to lovingly release them. This isn't about going back. It's about cleaning the slate. It's about allowing the past to exit completely so that the future can take root with clarity and strength. That's why you may be feeling waves of unexplained emotion, sadness without a source, guilt that doesn't belong to the present, sudden nostalgia for relationships or behaviors you thought you were done with. These aren't signs you're slipping. They're remnants lifting away from your energy field. You're being cleared. You're being cleansed. You're being freed. And in that process, it's easy to confuse a whisper from the past with a calling from the future. It's tempting to think that a surge of memory means you're meant to go back. But that's not what's happening. If something is trying to remind you of who you used to be, let it fade out. Let it pass. The real call, the one that matters, is still on its way. And when it comes, you'll know. It won't carry the frequency of fear or hesitation. It will sound like truth, like purpose, like destiny arriving in perfect timing. We're not just in a symbolic moment. We're in an energetic corridor that is very real. The window that's open now isn't metaphorical, it's literal. We are moving through a powerful passage between the Jupiter Cazimi and the new moon, and this space we're in is charged, not with abstract possibility, but with concrete consequence. This is a choosing point, a pressure point. This is a moment of action, not waiting, not wondering, not hesitating. This isn't one of those spiritual phases where you're meant to wait until it feels aligned. The energy right now is not gentle. It's directive. It's forward-moving. And it's not asking for permission. If you delay, if you freeze, if you avoid making the move you know you're meant to make, the shift will happen anyway. It just won't ask you first. It will unfold around you and without you, leaving you to catch up later in its wake. If you've been procrastinating, if there's something you know you need to say, do, change, or release, don't be surprised if the decision gets made for you. If you've been clinging to outdated plans or dragging your heels on letting something go, the universe may step in and do it for you. This isn't sabotage. This is spiritual enforcement. The new frequency doesn't need your full understanding to activate. It will move with or without you. Things might suddenly fall apart. Conversations you thought were just on pause might never resume. Bridges you were saving to cross later may already be gone, and though it might feel harsh or abrupt, this is not punishment. This is precision. The universe is streamlining your life, removing anything that belongs to the version of you that no longer fits. It's clearing the clutter, closing the tabs, making room for what's real, what's alive, and what's necessary. This moment is asking for your full presence, your full truth. Half-hearted commitments, outdated attachments, and unclear intentions are all being cut loose. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being protected. The universe isn't trapping you. It's clarifying your path. It's removing every access point to confusion and hesitation, so you can finally move with power and clarity. And here's what matters most. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are in sync with a divine timeline that is unfolding exactly as it should. The turbulence you feel right now isn't chaos. It's realignment. What's crumbling isn't your future. It's everything that cannot come with you into it. You are being readied. You are being refined. You are being reintroduced to your own power. There comes a moment when the universe no longer allows you to linger in in-between spaces. You weren't meant to remain stuck in limbo, circling around the same thoughts, the same doubts, the same fears. And yet, there's a dangerous comfort in stillness when it feels like you have time. But let's be honest. This isn't a season where you can afford to believe you have forever. You don't. The new moon energy doesn't arrive gently, and it certainly doesn't wait for you to finish your mental drafts or reach some imaginary state of readiness. It works fast, clean, precise. It imprints, not suggests. It doesn't offer you outlines to review. It writes in ink and seals the envelope. This portal you're standing in isn't here to wait for your green light. It's already in motion. It doesn't knock politely at the door of your awareness. It opens it wide and steps through. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply shows you what your spirit is already prepared to receive. That readiness may not register in your conscious mind just yet, but deep down, your soul has been aligning with this moment for longer than you realize. And the truth is, the longer you hesitate, the more fragile the path ahead becomes. The windows close, not as a punishment, but as a natural response to energy not claimed. Everything you thought you still had time to save or revisit begins to disintegrate under the weight of indecision. What once seemed like a step you could take tomorrow becomes a door you can no longer open. What you're feeling now, the urgency, the friction, the sudden endings, is not an external sabotage. It's a divine timeline pushing back on delay. Because here's the part no one really tells you. The universe doesn't just wait around for you to leap. If you resist long enough, life will push you forward anyway. And when that push finally comes, it won't feel like betrayal. It'll feel like being flung into the unknown. But the wildest part is that you'll realize you were never being pushed against your will. You were being redirected toward your own path of flight. The edge you feared wasn't a cliff, it was a runway. You're not being tested, you're being timed, and the clock is nearly out. In this high-speed unraveling of the old, it's easy to feel like you're behind or out of sync, especially when the world around you seems to be spiraling. People are anxious, things are collapsing, there's noise and confusion everywhere. But if you're one of the few who feels strangely calm, grounded even, you're not lost. You're not disconnected. In fact, you're likely ahead of the curve. It might be the strangest sensation, witnessing the chaos but not participating in it, feeling still while everyone else is scrambling. You may even question your own detachment, wondering if you're missing something critical or if you're numbing out. But this isn't apathy. This is not avoidance. This is what peace feels like on the other side of a major shift. This is clarity after the storm, the quiet after the energetic jump. That stillness within you right now, it's not emptiness. It's not a void. It's arrival. It's the soft hum of a new frequency that your nervous system is finally beginning to acclimate to. You've landed somewhere sacred before your conscious mind has caught up enough to name it. And yes, it can feel surreal. It can feel like standing in a dream where time moves differently, where everything is familiar but somehow new. This inner quiet is not a sign you're disconnected. It's a sign that you've already integrated what others are still scrambling to understand. You've already accepted what others are still resisting. You moved when the universe whispered, not when it screamed. You listened when your intuition tugged you gently instead of waiting for the full collapse. You walked away from the noise, even when it didn't make logical sense. You trusted something ancient and wordless inside you. And now you're standing in a field of stability that was only ever accessible to those who arrived early. Imagine a system upgrade rolling out to thousands of devices. Not everyone updates at once. Some systems delay, struggle, crash, and reboot. But yours already installed the new code. You're operating from a new version of reality, and that's why so much of the chaos around you feels far away, like a storm you already passed through. Other people's meltdowns now feel like distant echoes from a world you no longer live in. You're not immune to their pain, but you no longer resonate with the frequency of fear they're swimming in. And yes, being the first to arrive in a new energetic landscape can feel isolating. There's no celebration waiting for you, no trumpets sound. No one's there with a sign saying, "Congratulations, you made it." Instead, there's silence. But this silence isn't empty, it's sacred. It's the hush before the world catches up. It's the energetic breath taken in the womb of creation before new life takes form. You're not emotionless, you're not passive, you're simply unavailable to chaos. You've become inaccessible to the drama and distortions because you've already transcended that particular layer of illusion. You're now operating from a place where presence is power, where quiet is not a void, but a full-bodied resonance. This calm you're feeling is confirmation. It's not a lull before the storm. It's the exhale after surviving one. So when others start to stir, when they begin to voice their confusion, when they look around and say, "Why does everything feel so strange? Why do I feel off?" You'll already know. You'll have lived the answer. You'll recognize their bewilderment because you remember it. But you'll also recognize that you no longer live there. You passed through, and you found footing on the other side. If you're experiencing that grounded sense of neutrality now, while others are still grasping for meaning, don't second-guess it. Don't dilute it. It's not a lack of urgency. It's a deep awareness that you've already crossed the threshold. You're already on the other side of something massive that most people are just beginning to feel rumble beneath their feet. This isn't a period of negotiation. The moon is not gently suggesting you prepare. It's not asking for your participation. It's already acting. This new moon doesn't arrive with soft whispers and candlelit intentions. It doesn't wait for you to journal your desires and hope the cosmos responds. This isn't about wishful thinking. This is about embodiment. This moon is not passive. It is the force that activates. It is the spark that commands movement. There's a reason this lunation feels so different. It carries a heat, a velocity, a divine pressure. It doesn't care if you're ready. It cares if you're aligned. The moment Jupiter met the heart of the sun, the moment of the Cazimi, was the lighting of the match. This moon, it's the flare, the announcement, the call to action already in motion. This isn't the opening of a new chapter. It's the middle of the page being written in real time, and you are both the character and the pen. No rehearsal, no practice round, no turning back. You're not being invited to dream anymore. You're being told to walk. The leap is no longer optional. And if you feel like you've already jumped, it's because you have. If it feels like you're in midair, it's because you're flying. There comes a point where you're no longer allowed to stand in the middle. Not when the energy around you is this potent, this alive, this determined to move you. You're not being granted the luxury of indecision anymore. This isn't the kind of moon that gently invites you to think about your intentions while you remain stuck in the same cycles, whispering to yourself that you'll make changes someday. No, this is a different kind of lunation entirely. This one doesn't wait for your readiness. It doesn't require your full understanding. It doesn't need you to feel brave. It simply arrives. And when it does, it moves everything. This moon has its own mission, and whether you consciously choose it or not, it will choose on your behalf. It's not interested in the half-hearted attempts to manifest your dreams while still clinging to your old patterns, silently hoping you can change your life without disturbing too much of it. This energy isn't interested in compromise. It's here to launch you, to catapult you, to activate something in you that's been circling for too long, waiting for your courage to catch up to your calling. You don't need to perfect the plan. You don't even need to finish the list of things you thought had to be done before you could begin. The moment you've been orbiting is no longer a distant point on the horizon. It's here. And with or without your consent, this lunation is triggering the leap. It doesn't need you to be ready in the way you think ready looks. It only needs you to stop pretending you're not. This is not a time for silent intentions whispered in the dark. This is not about wishful thinking or softly hoping the world bends to meet your dreams. This is ignition. This is cosmic deployment. You are being moved, rerouted, placed precisely where your higher path has always needed you to be. And that sensation you've been feeling, the sudden clarity that jolts through your system, the out-of-nowhere opportunity that seems too big to be coincidence, or even the total unraveling of something you thought was secure, is not randomness. It's not chaos. It's execution. It's realignment at its highest level. You aren't entering a new cycle the way you think. You're being called into service by the part of you that already knows what to do. You're not being asked to choose, you're being positioned. That tug in your chest, that restless edge inside your mind, that quiet whisper at the edge of your awareness. It's not just spiritual static. It's the signal that something long awaited is arriving. And here's the wild truth, that something isn't just a moment. It's you. You're not witnessing the arrival. You are the arrival. You are the shift that's happening. The moon is simply delivering the energetic code that wakes up your next phase. That silence you feel just before everything moves isn't stillness. It's the inhale before the exhale, the moment before ignition. And when that energy finally drops into your body, when the sky resets itself in shadow and rebirth, you won't have to wonder if it's begun. You'll know. You'll feel it in your bones, in your gut, in your spine. It will be unmistakable. You will be moved, launched, activated, not by effort, but by divine momentum. There's no more preparation to do. That part's over. The path has already opened beneath you. The door behind you has closed, not as punishment, but as protection. It's sealed shut not to exile you, but to secure your new beginning. And yet, after a shift this massive, there's often a strange pull, a temptation to turn around, to peek behind the curtain of your exit, to wonder if maybe you made a mistake or left something unfinished. Maybe you feel a tug to revisit that old place, that old connection, that old version of yourself. But don't go back. Don't reopen the chapters that were meant to close. Because here's something most people won't tell you. If you try to re-enter what you've just been released from, it won't work. Not because you're broken, not because the place is broken, but because the energetic version of you that once belonged there no longer exists. That relationship, that identity, that lifestyle may still physically exist, but your frequency no longer fits inside it. When you try to wear the old skin, it won't feel comforting. It will feel false. The words you say might still sound right, but your spirit will feel miles away. You'll sense yourself going through motions you no longer believe in. That's not failure. That's transformation. Maybe you've already felt this. You reached out to someone from your past, and the conversation felt hollow. You returned to an old habit, hoping for comfort, only to feel disconnected from it. You tried to revisit something you used to love, and instead of feeling lit up, you felt disoriented, misplaced. That's not you losing your way. That's you finding your real one. That's your evolution showing you where you no longer belong. The universe isn't punishing you by closing these doors. It's positioning you, strategically, lovingly, intentionally. What's falling apart around you isn't chaos, it's calibration. The parts of your life that are disintegrating weren't meant to anchor the next version of you. The places, the people, the roles, they might have served a purpose once, but they've fulfilled it. If you try to return to them now, it will feel like stepping into a costume. Familiar, but not alive. Comfortable, but not truthful. Let that discomfort be your compass. Let it show you what's outgrown. Don't force yourself back into containers you've spiritually outgrown just because they're familiar. Don't grieve the loss of access to what you've surpassed. It's not rejection, it's redirection. You're being moved toward what your past simply couldn't hold. Your expansion has requirements your old life can't meet. Let that be okay. And if you feel grief arise, honor it. Say goodbye if you need to. But don't mistake the ache of letting go for a sign you've made the wrong move. The longer you hover near that closed door, the more it will sting. Not because you've lost something valuable, but because you're meant to build something greater now. Staying too long in the vibration of what used to be will only make your present feel like a burden instead of a blessing. What you're feeling isn't a mistake. It's not a sign that you've taken a wrong turn or made the wrong choice. It's simply your soul recognizing something your mind hasn't fully processed yet. That the door you're looking back at no longer exists. Sometimes when something from the past tries to pull you in again, it's not because you're meant to return. It's because there's a moment of doubt, a pause in the air. But don't confuse that pull with a calling. Breathe, be still for a moment. And then keep walking, not in fear, not in resistance, but with the quiet, powerful understanding that you've already crossed the threshold. That chapter is done. It has served its purpose. What you're doing right now, choosing yourself, stepping into the unknown, trusting your truth, is not always going to feel like liberation in the beginning. In fact, it might feel like a betrayal, and not of someone else, but of the person you once were. That version of you who spent years surviving in patterns, in performances, in peacekeeping. That version of you who made it work by putting everyone else's comfort before your own. No one really talks about this part of the transformation. Everyone loves to celebrate the breakthrough, the spiritual glow-up, the new chapter, the moment of empowerment. But not many talk about the emotional weight that follows. The guilt that sneaks in quietly, not as regret or shame in an obvious way, but as a whisper that lingers. It's subtle. It hides in the silence after you do the right thing. Right after you walk away from what no longer feels aligned. Right after you say yes to your truth, your boundaries, your path. That's when it shows up, like an echo in an empty room, asking, was that too much? Was I being selfish? Was I too cold? Should I have stayed, tried harder, given more? But here's what's really happening. That guilt isn't truth. It's the residue left behind by the version of you that was built on saying yes to everyone else, even when you were screaming no inside. It's the aftermath of decades of shrinking yourself to fit into dynamics that never truly honored who you are. You used to shapeshift. You used to silence your truth just to keep the peace. You used to walk around with a smile and a heavy heart, pretending things were fine while carrying the weight of everyone's expectations. So now, when you stop playing those roles, when you stop participating in those silent contracts of people-pleasing and emotional labor, there's a noticeable shift. You feel it in the space that opens up when you say no. You feel it in the distance that grows when you choose your inner alignment over old obligations. And that space, that distance, it doesn't always feel like freedom at first. It feels like loss, like confusion, like guilt. But you're not doing anything wrong. In fact, for the first time, you're doing what's right for you. That guilt you're feeling, it isn't a compass. It's a ghost. It's the emotional memory of someone you no longer are. It's what's left over from years of being praised for your compliance, your availability, your emotional labor. It's the side effect of healing. And it's not asking to be answered. It's asking to be released. Let yourself feel it, yes, but don't let it convince you to go back. Don't let it confuse you into thinking that comfort equals truth. It doesn't. Comfort is often what we learn to cling to when we don't yet know we're allowed to choose more. Discomfort, on the other hand, is what happens when your system begins to recalibrate. When your nervous system starts to catch up with your soul's evolution. It's not a sign that you're out of alignment. It's a sign that something old is being stripped away and something honest is being born. This in-between space is sacred. It's tender. It's the stretch between what was and what is becoming. And yes, it may feel lonely sometimes. It may feel like abandonment, but it's not. It's actually the deepest act of reunion with yourself. The people who knew the old version of you, the one who never said no, the one who always made herself smaller to fit, they may not recognize you right now. That's okay. You're not here to be recognizable. You're here to be real. And when you stop performing, when you stop showing up to play a role that you've outgrown, not everyone will know how to respond. Let them adjust. Or let them go. That's not your responsibility anymore. Your responsibility is to keep walking. Keep choosing yourself. Keep honoring the quiet wisdom that lives in your gut, even when it doesn't make sense to the world around you. You're not doing this to prove anything. You're doing this because your spirit finally has the space to breathe. You're doing this because the door behind you disappeared the moment you stepped forward, even if you didn't see it close. You're doing this because your truth is no longer negotiable. So when guilt knocks, when it tries to disguise itself as doubt or second-guessing, meet it with grace. But don't invite it in. Acknowledge it for what it is. a final wave from a past version of you. One that got you this far. One that kept you safe. One that was necessary at the time, but no longer needed now. And let that wave pass. Let the guilt go, not with resentment, but with reverence, with love. Because even though it no longer defines you, it was once a part of your story. And your story matters. Every chapter, even the ones you outgrew. If you're still here, still watching, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making the time, the space, and the emotional energy to be here in this moment of truth. Your presence matters. If this message resonated with something deep inside you, if it made you feel seen or held, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Your support helps bring more light and awareness to those who are walking their own quiet path of transformation. Feel free to share your thoughts, reflections, or personal stories in the comments below. This is a space for connection, and your voice is always welcome here. Until next time, take care of your soul, and remember, just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. It might be the clearest sign yet that you're finally, beautifully, becoming who you were always meant to be, and that is more than enough.